You're listening to The Real Fan Review with Hav, Sanj, Al, and B.
What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from The Real Fan Review. Today, we're going over the MCU news for Disney Plus and the MCU movies. Plus, we were going to review two movies for you on Netflix that came out these past 2 weeks, The Devil All the Time and Enola Holmes. Let's get right into it. With me today, we got my brother B.
Marhaba.
All right, now you got to tell me what that is.
That's Turkish.
Turkish. Okay. We got our man in the chair out today.
How's it going, everybody?
Yeah, man. So let's get right into this news right now. So the news of this week, man, unfortunately, is just a little light on news like the last few months. The news main thing that came out was MCU is moving around their titles. It looks like the Black Widow got pushed into May now. So May 7th instead of, what was it, April or May of last year? Of this year? It feels like last year, right?
April.
Yeah, I think it was May, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like May 1st or something like that. And then looks like Shang-Chi took over Eternals' spot as the number 2 movie. It's going to be Shang-Chi in July. It's probably going to be because of the action in it. Eternals is moved to November 5th, so that got pushed a year. And then we have Spider-Man coming out in December. Spider-Man Homesick, was it? That we think? Well, that's the rumor type.
Yeah, Homesick, yeah.
Yeah, man. So no MCU movies this year on 2020 due to this goddamn pandemic.
Yeah. I guess what are we looking at? Just WandaVision, right, in December?
Just WandaVision in December.
That's all we got.
Yeah, man. And a bunch of like rumors and actors signing the contracts. Great going. There you go. MCU. Brandon, man, what's your thoughts with the new schedule for MCU? Waiting till May for Black Widow.
I just want something. Like give me something now. I'm starting to get like depressed. Like
now you're starting to get depressed? Now.
It's like, I was like tolerable about it at first. It was like, all right, I understand, and now it's like, just give me some. Like I'm so bored. I just need something. I need my fix.
Yeah. Netflix is like holding us over right now.
Yeah, man.
Netflix is like, try our 1-star movie.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I'm starting to see why these movies are coming to Netflix. Al, what's your take on these movies, man? The 4 movies for 2021 there.
I mean, it's a scary change because if you have basically one of the biggest movie franchises in terms of like the MCU, and they're going to be a solid sell as long as they can sell. If they're feeling they got to push everything out till May, starting, what does that say? Yeah, what is that saying for their projection as to what they think movie turnouts in the theaters are going to be for the next couple months? So it makes me fearful for the movie theater chains themselves, like AMC. AMC is holding on pretty thin right now, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So if you're talking no major movies like that or turnouts until mid next year.
Yeah,
or something.
I'm hearing a lot of theaters are actually starting to sell some of their stock in their own cells, so it's trying to kind of make money through that by selling their own shares of their own stock of their company. Some theaters are actually thinking about closing down and just waiting until next year, or maybe till November, December, when hopefully things are a little bit better, which we're not even sure if that's going to be the case. But, they're not the only ones that are moving all their movies. Again, you guys know Wonder Woman got moved to the end of December, I think December 24th or around that time period, around Christmas time. And I think it's just a matter of time before, I think 007 gets moved. And 007 is supposed to come out either at the end of October or early November. And I don't even think we're going to get that. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes. But I don't know. I think the surprising thing for me is that Shang-Chi actually jumped Eternals.
Which is interesting,
coming out in July,
because Eternals was poised to come out like next month. So I'm interested to see if there was something else behind the scenes on that one, because as far as I knew, like it was almost done. So like was there something that maybe when it was screened already, and maybe in the screening of it, some things didn't fit or some things didn't work, and now they're reshooting, like because it's interesting for a film to almost be done or have been released soon to kind of get bumped,
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
interested if there's something more to that one.
Yeah, it also makes me wonder what's the storyline like, because MCU they showed a good thing that they had their movies plot and the stories plotted out
Right.
way in advance. So if you originally had one movie coming out before another, and now after they've already started filming both movies, you can somehow still swap their order in the sequence.
All right.
Are the stories as tightly intertwined as they used to be? Or are these becoming more standalones as opposed to the way they were, where each storyline fed into the next movie, even though it was somebody else's movie?
Yeah, I mean that's
So
pretty interesting, man. And one of the other things that kind of like got me thinking is seeing Spider-Man at the end of December for next year, and he's still filming Uncharted right now, Tom Holland. So
Yeah.
I don't even know how they're gonna start filming Spider-Man with enough time for it to be made before next year December. But hey, I'm
Yeah,
sure
but it's gonna be shot in his apartment. He won't be Spider-Man for half
it's
the
gonna
movie.
be a
No,
Zoom
no
call.
need for no need for visual effects. Like he'll just
Oh
be
my
sitting
god,
there.
it's a table reading.
uh,
Oh my god. Yeah, man. And then the last bit of news for this week is also dealing with the MCU, but this time on Disney Plus rather than the theaters. Looks like our man Samuel L. Jackson is getting a new contract there to play in Nick Fury or to play Nick Fury himself. And what I'm not sure is, they haven't really left all the details out there, is if it's like Nick Fury's own show about him in his time period or how he became Nick Fury, or if it's maybe Agents of S.W.O.R.D. because now S.W.O.R.D. is going to be the new thing. And I don't know, man. I'm just very interested in seeing what Samuel L. Jackson does because he is fantastic as Nick Fury. Al, what's your thoughts on Samuel L. Jackson signing a new contract with the MCU to do Disney Plus shows?
it be if, the take I would like to see. I don't know how it would play out. I don't know if it'll be if everybody else would agree. I would like to see his stories between the other movies. Because you always see Nick Fury pop up here, pop up there. He's never a major character in the majority of the movies, but
Mm,
he always shows up like to set off the events. He always shows that he knows what's going on. So if they could set up like maybe a show about how he does all of this, showing
mm,
us all of his behind the scene moves, and then maybe show like where you can tell, okay, these episodes led up to his appearing in Black Widow. These episodes led up to him appearing in, Avengers and this. And if you can set it up like that, so now we're seeing the backstory as to how he got all this information, how he was
mm.
able to maneuver all the pieces from behind the scenes. I wouldn't mind seeing a series like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Actually, when you said that, I started thinking I would love to know when him and Talos switch.
Yeah,
you know, that's something that would be cool to see. When did that happen? Why did that choice happen? But when
yeah,
it happened, more importantly, because everyone has their own theories on when Talos became Nick Fury, real quick,
yeah.
from that
And what
Amazing
made
Spider-Man.
and what made it necessary? Because why would it be necessary for there to be a pretend Nick Fury
Mm,
and Fury's out, obviously still leading a team out in space. So
yeah,
why, like, yeah, so it would have been, yeah, tell me why was that even necessary?
absolutely. Brandon, what you think, man? What do you think is in store for Nick Fury?
You know, I don't know because like the origins that they gave Nick Fury in a sense back in Captain Marvel is wildly different than what his origins were in the comic books. Like a lot of Nick Fury's origins actually stemmed around his brother, which I believe was a villain named either Zodiac or Scorpio, one of the two. And that led into him losing his eye and this and that. So like we had a whole different kind of backstory of Nick Fury in Captain Marvel. So I'm interested to see like what stories can they tell about Nick Fury, considering were there other heroes before the Avengers, between Captain Marvel and the Avengers that he was scouting, looking for. Maybe there could be a show about him finding other heroes. It could even be like a comedy of him like finding a hero and they fucking like suck, like like him spending time with his hero, trying to do something with them and like they kill themselves, or like they just are just terrible. Like
Right.
that could be something interesting, like a whole different take, because Samuel Jackson, he can be super serious, but they'll comedy roles with him being serious in them are hilarious.
Mhm.
And then you could find out something like you said, I love the Agents of Sword, like how does
Yeah.
that lead in, how does this maybe lead into Olivia Wilde's Spider-Woman? Because as I said, I know Olivia Wilde's going to be playing Spider-Woman.
Brandon, you gotta stop saying you know that when you don't know, man.
I know it.
Crazy, man. I mean, it would be interesting, man. I would love to see
Olivia,
all
give me
of
a
that
call.
stuff.
Let me know. Let me tell you. I already told you.
Yeah, man. But all those ideas would be fantastic to see, man. Listen, Disney Plus is doing their thing. Hopefully, they make these
Yeah.
things. I'm surprised they didn't have this stuff all lined up so we could be watching it while this pandemic's happening. But again, we'll wait till December to see WandaVision and then hopefully start our MCU run all over again. And listen, that's the news we got for this week. There wasn't a lot of news. Everything was all about PlayStation 5 and Xbox.
Yeah. Did you
By the
guys
way, you
anybody
guys got your
pre-order?
copy? Anybody got one? Yeah,
No,
neither.
Yeah.
No.
I missed it
Uh,
all 7 times.
no, I think I'm gonna wait to see if there's any big surprises with this first batch, and then wait for the next round.
Oh man, yeah, that's my old Xbox 360 stories right there. I went like 5 of those when they first came out.
Yeah, man.
Oh man, but listen, that's the movie news for this week. If you guys have any comments about the movies, go ahead and leave it right below there on the YouTube channel. Or if you have any thoughts about those MCU movies or the MCU Disney Plus show with Nick Fury, email us at therealfanreview@gmail.com and let us know what you think. Now let's get right into what we do best. We talk about the movies that we saw this week, and we're going to actually review these 2 movies because these are the 2 movies that we saw in the last 2 weeks. And the first one, let's go with The Devil All the Time, since that came out 2 weeks ago, starring Tom Holland and also featuring Robert Pattinson in the movie. And let's get right into it. Do you guys want to do spoilers or like just a quick spoiler-free real quick?
I can give you a spoiler free real quick. Just rename the movie to Depressing All the Time. That's the movie name. That's what it should be.
Depressing all the time. All right, so let's do this. We'll do a real quick spoiler free, no spoilers. We won't say anything that really happens in this, and we'll just go into that, and then we'll give our spoiler review right after it. So let's make this quick. Al, what did you think of The Devil All the Time?
Uh, it was funny because I went into it like joking in my head, thinking, "Ah, great, Spider-Man versus Batman," and it just went in with real no expectations. I really had no idea what the movie was about. The only thing
Right.
I knew about it was that those two were in it, and that it was set, in the past. Basically, all I knew going into this movie.
Right.
Watched it, got depressed. Thought everybody did a great job acting and everything, but I mean, just like Brandon said, I mean, you kind of you want to kill yourself watching this movie because Jesus, like, how many bad things can happen to one family, one person in a family?
Yeah.
And but I thought they did a good job. Like I said, the acting was well done. Robert Pattinson scared me because I'm hoping this is not how he is for Batman. And I guess we'll get more.
Coming.
We'll get more into
Ready?
that when we do the spoiler part. But
Accent coming from Robert Pattinson. Like, did anyone see that accent coming? Like,
Oh my God.
kid, no.
waiting for like some manly talk from Robert. He was like, "Ma,
Dude,
you."
that high pitched preacher voice, that's not my Batman. That's not my Batman. Oh
Oh God.
man.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Al there. The acting's incredible. I mean, for Tom Holland especially, someone that we've seen as this jovial character playing Spider-Man, who's full of like jokes and banter with back and forth, stuff and doing all this stuff. What, everybody?
And they took a crowbar to this guy.
Oh my Lord! It's just the story itself is just depressing from the beginning to the end of the movie. It's just like Jesus, and it's actually a little scary also with I guess I could kind of bring this up. Just there's aspects of faith and religion in the story that kind of scares you. If people believe like this or think like this, it's kind of scary sometimes. But not to go into too many spoilers, it's a deep dive into this person's life from when he was born till the end, where not that he died or anything, but how he lived his life and what he went through. So I'm just going to say really quick on this movie, I would say you don't need to rush to go see it, and just know that when you do see it, it's a pretty long movie. It was like 2.5, right? Two and a half. And it was just, dude, it
Felt
was
like 15.
brutal. It was
Yeah.
brutal. It was brutal to watch, man. And again, the acting's fantastic. There's a lot of good actors in the movie. There's even like a side couple that are good actors that have this little side story going on that ends up meeting in the story. It's almost like one of those who's the guy that directed the oh man, Quentin Tarantino. It's like one of those movies where you see these different people, you're like, what are they doing? And then all of a sudden at the end they all like, oh, okay. It all mixes well. But yeah, man, I would say you don't need to rush to see this movie. It is hard to watch. Al, will you ever watch this movie again?
No.
Yeah, neither would I. Brandon, how about yourself, man?
I don't know why I watched it the first time.
You don't know why you watched it. All right.
It was just a lot. Like, I'm not kidding when I say it was depressing all the time. Like, having all of those storylines, a couple of them just didn't really make sense to understand why they were there.
Right.
And then, like you said, when the storylines start to cross and this and that, okay, but like it was just it was a little much for me.
Yeah, it's a little much. Yeah, absolutely, man. So listen, guys, if you're watching on the YouTube, Al does a great job of cutting the video into parts so that you guys can select what's the next one. So we're gonna go into spoilers for The Devil All the Time right now. If you want, you can skip right over to the spoiler-free version of Enola Holmes, and we'll go from there. So right now we'll go into spoilers. Brandon, go ahead, rip it apart, Brandon.
Are you ready?
Oh, we're ready, Brandon.
Go ahead, man.
All right, guys. Spoiler alert. This was Spider-Man Homesick. Like, that was it. That was the movie.
Spider-Man Homesick.
That was it. Spider-Man Homesick. He got a gun. He starts shooting people. But I mean, like, from the intro to the movie, it was already confusing because in 10 minutes they gave you one web of a storyline and then went back to it with new characters and then went back to it later on to explain it. And so, like, that first 20 minutes was really confusing because you didn't really understand why they were doing this. And then they started doing the 7 years, 7 years prior, 7 years later, 5 years before. And it was like, oh, just give me one angle.
Right.
And then it was like, the introduction of a lot of the characters. Once you got to really Tom Holland's storyline, where he's there, and you have his grandmother, his grandfather, you have Eleanor, you get introduced to Robert Pattinson as the priest. And then you have like the older version of certain characters from when he was younger, whether it was the police officer or the, that side family. It was interesting to have all those people and see how they fleshed out over that brief time period of when we're spoiler alert. So when his, parents both died, to see how everyone kind of grew from that point. You saw how that side family, the wife, I would say, was very into what they were going for, murdering these young men by taking these photos and kind of eliciting and and harassing them into this, and killing them. And that was a way of what he said, like, there was a way of seeing some kind of God for him or seeing some kind of religion was when you saw the near death,
Yeah.
So seeing how they kind of grew over that 7-year period where she, like, after 7 years, it hurt her, she didn't want to do it anymore. It wasn't fun, it wasn't fun anymore. And to seeing, Tom Holland's character kind of go through more pain, after his stepsister hung herself by accident, not knowing it was an accident, and then knowing that there was a baby on the way from the pastor, like all of these things.
You're depressing me right now, Brandon.
Right? I think like a really cool. Well, I don't know if it's cool, and I don't know if this was intentional at all, but I thought the representation or the symbolism behind the German Luger was at the beginning of the movie when it was given as a gift to the father. It was presented as like this was something that could stop evil, this was the thing, this was the gun that killed Hitler, this was, this gun can do this and that. And every situation Tom Holland was in which he had the gun, he always won. From people who have used the gun, because this was his first time ever using a gun.
Right.
So anytime that he was in a situation where he had to use the gun, he came out. And there was 3 situations. Like it worked
Yeah.
for him all 3 times.
All within a 24-hour period.
And a 24-hour period. But it was all, even though the female character, I forget her name, even though, she was trying to see her way out, because she presented her way in a way that was going to hurt him, the gun saved him in a sense. Her gun jammed because she had the blanks, and his gun went. Yeah. And like so, and then he killed the guy before he could kill him. Like, so like in all the situations where he was presented to having to save his life, the gun protected him. And I don't know if that was intentional or not because of the presentation of it in the beginning of the movie, but I thought that was something that could be interesting as a interesting symbolism, like, because it's called the devil all the time, this was the one thing that can stop the devil.
Right, nice. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. It all the times that he did use it was against people that were trying to do wrong. So, yeah, man. I mean, for me, this movie, it bothered me a little bit because of what I was seeing and what I was watching, and at the same time, I just kept thinking to myself, whoever wrote this movie or whoever wrote this story, because I believe it's a book, it's a novel, if I'm correct, right, Al? It's a novel.
It was based on a novel. Yeah.
Yeah. So that guy must. Or I think it was a guy actually, must have something with religion or faith or something that either didn't go right in his life, because he made that scary. The way that these people believed and made people worship, and the way that they made people think because of their faith and their religion, it was actually pretty scary. There's one character in there who, to prove that he can see God or talk to God, he tried to, was it that he killed his wife and tried to resurrect her?
Try to resurrect her. Yeah, he stabbed her in the neck with a screwdriver.
Like, what in the world? Like, what were you thinking? Like, he thought that he could resurrect his wife because he believed. Like, come on, dude. Seriously? And then you have another person who's using his faith as a preacher, or his I guess status as a preacher, on people that are looking at him like, oh my God, this is almost the person who talks to God for us. So he has this power.
I'm with him. I'm with God.
I'm with God. So everyone else, you need to treat me like a certain, like almost like a king. Like, dude, everything that I fear about faith and religion was shown to me in that movie. Because there, to me, are people who feel that way, think that way, and act that way towards, preachers or anyone that they feel is like more faithful than them. You know what I mean? So it was very tough to watch for me, because it honestly hit a core, hit something here for me on that movie, and it just like kind of freaked and creeped me out a little bit, But as far as the story itself, it was depressing, but not for nothing, for it to affect me the way that it did, those actors did their part. They actually acted it. They did fantastic. I will never watch this movie again. But but it was acted well, because even Tom Holland, I believe that this is this Southern kid who lost his father, who happened to be Pennywise the clown, which was pretty cool. I was like, wait a minute, is that Pennywise? Oh, remember the trailer, man? Oh my God. But yeah, man, this movie just was a little bit too much for me, man. Al, what's your spoiler review on this thing?
For me, it was depressing because if you look at the movie chronologically, it was just a series of I mean, not to take the name from that show, but a series of misfortunate events.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid, he grows up, his mother dies, his father, from, I don't know, the way I took it, I could be wrong with this, but my impression was that the father lost his faith because he had been praying for God to save the mother, and God didn't. So the father's solution was to just kill himself, because I don't know if it was that he lost his faith or that he felt that God ignored him. Whatever the reason, he killed himself. So the kid goes from losing his mother to losing both his parents within a short period of time. He even lost, he lost his dog because the father sacrificed the dog.
Yeah.
So he lost, in a short period of time, lost his entire family, had to go live with his grandmother, and living with the grandmother, bonds with a sister. Years after bonding with the sister, she falls into a situation where her faith is used against her, to turn her into submission and to do things that realistically should have been known to be wrong, but because they were
Presented by a man
made
of
to
faith. Yeah.
yeah, he made it to seem like, listen,
Yeah.
you're presenting yourself to God, because I think that's how he even phrased it to you. Like, have you
Yeah.
presented yourself as God made you to him? So, and that was how he got her to strip. So, and started everything. And then she ends up pregnant, and he says, it's not mine. And through that denial, she goes to kill herself, and then last second decides, oh no, I'm not going to do it. And then stumbles and still,
Still happens.
ends
Yeah.
up hanging herself. So he loses her. And then in getting the revenge, ends up, yeah, he gets his revenge and everything, but he ends up alone. Like at the end of the movie, he ends up all by himself. There's nobody there. He's not with his grandmother. He's not with his uncle. He's not with the sister.
Right.
I think that was actually the only part of the movie I liked, was him falling asleep in the car, recounting to himself all the ways he could lead his life from there.
Yeah.
And I think that was the one thing I liked.
Yeah.
And he was finally allowed to rest.
Yeah.
Right. He finally
And he
just
slept.
closed his eye and took a nap. Yeah. That was deep. That was deep.
I was so happy that it didn't end like a Departed, where the traveler like offed him. Like I was so happy it didn't end off that way, because I thought the reason he was falling asleep was because like he got drugged or something in the air. Like I thought that's what was happening. I'm like, oh no, like no. I was so happy
He was
just
gonna fall
falling
asleep.
asleep.
Yeah, I was waiting for that too. I was waiting for like him to fall asleep and then they smashed him in the face or something.
Oh,
That's
my
so
God.
great. I was so happy it didn't happen.
Did you guys realize that the sheriff was the Winter Soldier?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sebastian
Yeah,
Stan, yeah.
Yeah.
They fed him for this movie.
They fed that motherfucker. I don't know what they did to his head shape either.
Yeah.
How'd they get that
They
perfect
locked-
block?
He looked
Yeah,
like a
they locked
sheriff.
him in-
Yeah.
They locked him in a room and gave him a lot of mashed potatoes because he looked nothing like Winter Soldier.
No,
Dude,
man.
do you remember that scene where he put on that leather jacket? It was like, that shit was tight. It was so tight. He was like trying to zip it. I'm like, yo, I'm dusty. I gotta stop zipping it, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I think one of the best part of the movies is the narrator of the movie.
The narrator, the person who wrote the story.
Yeah, like the narrator coming in, and every time he talked was like this old timey country little like soundtrack playing that bono, wano, wano, and I was like, is this the time?
Dude, you know what it reminded me of? I don't know if Brandon will get this reference. Maybe Al will. Dukes of Hazzard when we were younger.
Yeah,
Whenever they would freeze the frame, it would be some old country guy talking. And I just kept
With a
thinking of
banjo?
Dukes of Hazzard every time that happened,
like,
man.
This is like the movie. I mean, the music for all the times he was talking does not fit the scene that's happening right now. Like she just like hung herself in like bono, bono, bono. Turns out she didn't really mean to do it, but don't worry, because God will forgive her. And it was like bono, 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 and I was like, what?
Oh,
This
man.
this doesn't go together.
Yeah.
You always need good banjo, Brandon. Always need good banjo. Oh,
I
man.
think. Can we all agree that the grossest part of this whole movie was when Robert Pattinson stuck his freaking finger in the chicken liver and ate it? They're like, oh, let me try this chicken liver. I was like,
He goes, everybody brought me something worth of value. And I can see when we have poor people in the house. Yeah, dude, I was cringing for that mom. I'm like, shit.
Yo, I was
He must
like,
impress him so
dirty.
bad. And Tom
Okay.
Holland done told her to buy the chicken liver that she could afford when she was trying to buy the chuck. You know? Yeah, oh,
That was so
terrible.
funny though. All three fingers. Like, I was like, oh, stop it.
Dude, and just before we end the review on this one, man, what about his voice, dude?
That was the
Does he
best part.
talk like that in real life? That high pitch?
No,
Nah, I hope not, kid.
That was
I
his
hope
southern
not.
accent?
I don't
dude. when he
remember.
turned-
I don't
When he turned around and introduced himself, I was waiting for like, oh howdy. Like I was waiting for like this deep,
Yeah.
like talking like, oh hello. And I was like, whoa. That was not what we were expecting.
Oh my god. Too
That
much.
motherfucker could have played Pennywise. Like shit.
Crazy, man.
No, but
So
he's
now,
another one that they need to feed. He's
oh,
another one that they need to feed because this movie can't have been made that long ago. And now I understand why they were making such a big deal about the fact that he wasn't working out for Batman
uh-huh.
because
Look tiny.
not only can Batman not sound like that, he can't look like that.
I'm gonna stop you, Joker.
I can't hear that. You see? Yeah, I can't hear that. He can't sound like that. Oh my god. So listen, let's go ahead and just give it our actual like review and everything. Again, for me, you guys heard me from this non-spoiler review. I'm telling you guys, don't rush to see this thing. This is, first of all, is a gauntlet. 2.5 hours of watching depression. It's just ridiculous, honestly. But it is good. It is well acted. It's just not a fun story to watch, man. Not at all.
Yeah.
Al, what's your final call on this movie?
If you're someone that likes to watch movies from, because there's some people that they just want to say, oh, the cinematography was great, the directing was great. Like they watch movies from that angle. You're going to like this because everything, as I've just said, was done well. The acting as well. The movie is well made.
Yeah.
But if you care about how you feel as you're watching a movie, make sure you're real happy before you watch this movie because you will not be when you finish watching this movie. So yeah.
All right, got you, man. Brandon, your final call on this one.
I'd say if there was like the time you could still say like, wait for this to come out on DVD. Wait for this to come out on DVD.
Yeah, man, that's it. That's the double all the time. You guys heard it here. That's the opinion of us, Then the last movie, which just came out this week, that we got a chance to watch was Enola Holmes, Sherlock Holmes' sister, apparently. So Enola Holmes just came out on Wednesday of this past week. It's also on Netflix as well. Yeah, I'm gonna spoiler free this one. Actually, we're gonna spoiler it. It's just let's go for it because I can't honestly.
Oh, man.
Like, I really hope this
movie.
Is
what
there
happened-
is there a big mystery that they solve? Because
there's a
for you guys,
mystery,
I
but
didn't
then
see it.
they don't solve it. It answers itself. The mystery.
What?
Yeah.
Is it like a Raiders of the Lost Ark where they didn't really have to be
No.
in the movie? The movie solves itself.
No, man, it's like being in the library watching somebody paint on the wall. Jesus.
It's like
I would
it's
rather
like
do that.
Get somewhere.
And dude,
That was really good.
what is up with the 2 hour long movies? Why we can't get no hour 15, hour and a half movies anymore? Especially movies
Yeah.
like this. Like, oh my goodness. So anyway, Enola Holmes is starring Millie Bobby Brown from the Stranger Things. She's also I forgot what else she's in.
Godzilla.
Right, and
Yeah.
also Godzilla, and also featuring we have Henry Cavill who's playing Sherlock Holmes, and then I know this lady because she does a lot of work. She was in the Harry
She was in
Potter
Harry Potter.
movies. Yeah, she's playing Enola Holmes and Sherlock Holmes' mom. So basically the story of Enola Holmes is that Enola is being raised by her mom, and her mom disappears. No one knows what happens to her. No one knows if she left on purpose or if she was taken. She just disappears, and thus begins the story to find mom. Boring. Jesus. I thought it'd be something interesting because it's the Holmes family. You would think that's mystery, and there was some riddles and stuff, solving some things. Mom left a little clue that she had to figure out, which was I thought was going to start going towards that end. And then it just turned into this like period piece about what happened to women back in the day, which was hard to watch, especially, knowing how things should be or how things are becoming now, to see how women were thought of or made to think of themselves as just this object that's supposed to get married and have children and that's it, and it's just sad and crazy. But at the same time, like, don't beat me over the head about it though either, and then also to kind of like, this whole thing about the empowering women. We are all for it. All of us here on the Real Fan Review, completely all for it. But there is a way to do it and a way to show it, right? There's a way to just show that this person doesn't need help and they can do it on their own. They're strong, strong-minded, smart, intelligent, and they can do it. And that's all you need to do. You do not have to tell me that she's smarter than Sherlock Holmes like 4 or 5 times. You know what I mean? Like Sherlock Holmes is supposed to be this unimaginable, intelligent person who can figure out anything, deduct reasoning from just looking at one thing. And now, because we're introduced to Enola Holmes, and to make her bigger and better, she's smarter than Sherlock Holmes too. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, guys, I get it. And the whole thing about being independent, yeah, it's awesome and it's amazing. But again, it's how it's done. You don't have to browbeat someone into knowing that. There's a way to show it without like beating you over the head about it. Brandon, I know you got a chance to see Enola Holmes, right? What did you think?
I completely agree with you, especially the part like the movie wants you to really like root for her and really believe like this young woman, like she's a young woman in this movie and she has to find her way, and that's literally what the whole movie is about. Like her mom wanted her to understand that she could find her own path, and that's why she disappeared. And I was like, oh, okay. But like the problem with that, and you kind of nailed it on the head, Hob, is that they introduced Sherlock Holmes and the brother, and I forget his name because he was really uninteresting. They really set you out to hate this guy in this movie. Like the whole thing with having this brother was hating him and loving Henry Cavill as Sherlock Holmes. But in doing that, you made us so interested in Henry Cavill as Sherlock Holmes, and we were upset that you didn't get to have more of him. Like it was just, they made us so interested in him as his character that you wanted to see more of him, and then you realize this isn't a Sherlock Holmes movie. This is an Enola
What do you
Holmes.
think about this? They should have casted somebody else for Sherlock Holmes, because
I
by
agree.
casting Henry Cavill, I'm thinking Henry Cavill's going to have a bigger role or something to do.
He was in 3 times.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, I want to know what's going on with Superman.
and then it's like, the other thing too is like, I loved how it was like, oh, he knew that she was on her way of becoming a better detective or this and that, but like, that's why he didn't like rat her out when he knew she was around, kind of a thing, because the other brother was trying to put her in some kind of home or school or whatever it was. And it was like, okay, but he was in like 3 scenes in the movie, but they made us so interested in him there that we wanted to see more of him. So when it wasn't the whole Holmes family, like you kind of assumed like they were going to come together at some point and like work together to solve this, as a family. It's like, no, that didn't happen. No, they still hate the brother at the end of the movie. They still hate him. They still hate him. Everything kind of didn't really work out that well. I guess there's supposed to be a sequel. But like
it's supposed to be a series of books, that they can make into movies now.
And it was like, it was just not entertaining. It was a movie I had on for about 10 minutes. And I became so bored with it that it became the thing that I was listening to in the background as I was doing other work. And I because of Sherlock Holmes, like I love the tales of Sherlock Holmes. Like I wanted to be so interested in this movie, and I was so not.
What's funny is
go for it.
You guys are actually making me want to watch it because I'm a fan of Sherlock Holmes. Like I watched the Sherlock series on Netflix with Benedict Cumberbatch. I used to watch the Sherlock Holmes series on, I think it was CBS Elementary. So the dynamic you're describing between the siblings was always there. There's always been a bitterness between Mycroft, which is the brother, and Sherlock. And they never really in either one of those series until recently with the Sherlock one brought the sister into it. But in the Sherlock, she is, I don't know if she's smarter, but she's definitely portrayed as smart as Sherlock.
Right. Yeah.
So it was interesting to see how they're going to do it in the Sherlock series. So to tell me that they're expanding on that and more focused on her is making me, even though you're saying it's not a great movie, it's making me want to see it just to see how they're taking on the dynamic of the siblings. Because Sherlock has always been the center point and not, a background character.
Yeah, I guess maybe I expected too much also because expecting like because it was Holmes and Sherlock Holmes and Nola Holmes, I was expecting some kind of mystery, and they sold it like that. They sold it as if this mystery was gonna evolve from looking for mom and find out other things that were happening underneath the background, and they made you think that too because I think mom was in some kind of secret organization
Yeah.
that she was gonna do some kind of revolution or revolt or reform or something, but
Oh,
it just felt like they were just like tiptoeing around it. So I guess they're kind of like leaving little breadcrumbs for the next movie or something. But in them trying to solve that mystery, there was only like one or two times where I was like, oh, we're really solving a mystery. She's using coding and different
mhm.
words and Scrabble almost to kind of like figure out what mom was meaning. Mom would say one word, but it meant something else, and she knew exactly what it was. So it became a little interesting. But then after that, there was really no like
It
problem
wasn't anything. It
solving.
was
She was just
really
Nice.
straightforward.
yeah, it was
Oh,
more
wow, that's
her,
good.
just her going through things, and then as she was approaching different things, something else would come up. So there was a boy that she met on a train that was going through an issue with his family. So then she then took that on, you know what I mean, and it became an adventure of how to help him in this story, and she forgot about mom or put mom in the background for a little bit. But I guess it's just the way that it was done. And also,
Yeah.
I mean, Brandon, I don't know if it annoyed you as much as it annoyed me. That fourth wall breaking, looking at the camera and talking to the camera the entire movie.
Oh,
I
they
feel
do
like
that.
I've seen
Okay.
that. I feel like I've seen that in other like Sherlock Holmes based things. So it
Okay.
didn't bother me too much. I just think they didn't do it as smoothly because the
Yeah.
movie itself didn't seem like it could do that. So when they did do it, like, oh wait, why? Oh,
Like she did it right before she was about to fight somebody. Like I was
yeah.
like, what?
But
Like the movie didn't portray itself like like it could do it like that. Like you know how
Yeah.
Deadpool pans it up that he's gonna do it kind of a thing, and he does it repeatedly throughout the movie. This movie doesn't flow that way, so it was weird when it happened. You're like, oh, are you talking to us? Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay,
It's a little weird. It was a little weird,
yeah.
man.
It doesn't have that kind of flow to it to warrant that. But I've seen it in other Sherlock Holmes based shows. So
Mhm.
I guess they're taking a snippet from something else, but it didn't work per se.
Yeah,
oh
man.
well.
Nah, not for me, man. So I mean, really quick, Brandon, what's your final thoughts on Enola Holmes? What would you rank it or rate it?
I'd rank it as a I'd rank it as a rainy day movie, 1 star.
One star.
Well,
Yeah, for me, again, I don't do the kind of like the star stuff because it's hard to like determine what you're gonna give it and then compare it to something else that has that same rating. So for me,
yeah.
it's just like don't rush to go see this thing. If you have free time, you're into the Holmes story, and you want to see this Enola Holmes story, feel free to watch it. But be prepared. It's like 2 hours and like 6 minutes or 2 hours and 15 minutes,
Oh
and it
wow.
Mhm.
it, it really isn't that entertaining. I didn't find it that entertaining, to be honest with you. Um, Kind of wished I watched something else. Yeah, man. But I mean, Al,
Uh,
did you have any questions regarding Enola Holmes or anything?
no, it's. I mean, I definitely want to watch it because again, I'm into the whole Sherlock Holmes stories. I used to read the Holmes story books when I was a kid.
Right.
Um, so that's why I'm surprised even more so because there's always at least something that they're solving, somebody that they gotta catch or expose or something. So to
Yeah, and
say
they
that
end up
there's
doing that.
no,
They end up doing that, but it's just like I said, it doesn't come off well.
yeah, but if it's not like the main plot of the story, then it kind of throws it off from what I'm used to. So I still want to see how they try to play on the whole dynamic of what a Holmes story is. So
Gotcha.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Look, I'll just put it to you this way, Al. I fell asleep like 2, 3 times watching that movie. I like doze off, come back up. I'm like, oh, I missed like 5, 10 minutes. Rewind it. Let's start over. Oh man,
Damn.
brutal, man, brutal.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, man. Listen, that's our show for today as far as the movie reviews and also the movie news. There, if there's any topic you guys would want us to tackle or to talk about, just to leave a little comment below on the YouTube page there, or email us or visit us on our website. Let us know what you would want us to talk about, or maybe just give us your opinion, and we'll gladly share it with everyone on the show. Our website is therealfanreview.com, or you can email us at therealfanreview@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, even though we told you Social Dilemma said not to do that. But listen, we appreciate you guys watching us and listening to us on the, on your podcasting apps and watching us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll keep bringing you out more content as we go along. So we thank you here from Long Island, New York. We're going to call it a night. Brandon?
Gule, gule.
Gule, gule. All right.
Okay.
Al?
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, from myself, Hob, man, again, we're going to thank you, and we'll wish you a good night, and we'll catch you on the next one. Until next time.